Let's look at the real-life assessment test question, which validates your ability to do mental math. Which choice of numbers makes calculations accurate for the expression below? And you have two groups of numbers. The first one is in parentheses, choices 1 and 2, and you have an expression presented to you on the screen, which equals 6, and 4 different choices for the numbers. Choice A, 5723. Choice B, 6259. Choice C, 8791. And choice D, 7312. Do you think you know the answer? Now might be a good time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the solution on your own. Did you figure out the solution? Let's continue to see if we can solve this challenge and get to the correct solution together. To get to the correct solution, you need to always remember that calculations in parentheses are done first. And you need to pick up the numbers that match the end result. The end result of this expression is 6. The correct combination of numbers is choice A, 5723. Let's verify this. 5 plus 7 equals 12. 2 multiplied by 3 equals 6. 12 minus 6 equals 6. Hopefully you've nailed this question. And now remember that you need to use keyword PEMDAS, which stands for parentheses first, powers and roots next, multiplication and divisions before addition and subtraction. And PEMDAS itself basically represents the first character, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction, which represents the order of operations. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer similar questions in the test. Let's look at the question we see on almost all the tests, which tests your knowledge of pattern recognitions. Determine which two numbers come next in the sequence. And you have series of numbers: 5, 5, 10, 15, 25, and then two missing numbers. And you're presented with 4 different possible choices. Choice A, 30 and 35. Choice B, 35 and 40. Choice C, 40 and 65. And choice D, 75 and 95. Do you think you know the answer? Now might be a good time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the solution on your own. Did you figure out the answer? Let's continue to see how we can solve this challenge and get to the correct solution together. As usual, in all pattern questions, you need to try to determine either the pattern or the formula to calculate next number. And in this particular case, the first number and the second number are added to get to the third number. So let's do the math. 5 plus 5 equals 10. The same process is repeated with the fourth and fifth number. 5 plus 10 equals 15. 10 plus 15 equals 25. Therefore, to get to the next number, the same process should be applied. 15 plus 25 equals 40, and 25 plus 40 equals 65. So the correct answer here is choice C, 40 and 65. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer similar problems on the test. Let's look at the tricky question, which tests your reasoning skills. Determine the next item in the sequence. And you have a sequence of shapes. One shape, shape number 4, is missing. And you're presented with 4 different choices. Choice A, B, C, and D. Do you see the answer? Why don't you pause this video to see if you can come up with the answer on your own? Did you figure out the answer? Let's continue and see how we can get to the correct solution together. As always, to answer reasoning questions, look for patterns and sequences. In this particular case, there are 2 sequences, shape rotation and an arrow position sequence. Both sequences rotate clockwise. Let's look at each one of them. The arrow points to the corner and it rotates with the increment 1, 2, and 3. And color also rotates clockwise with no additional increments. Therefore, the next box will have an arrow that points to 8 o'clock, right here. And also, if you look, the gray triangle will be at 9 o'clock, as well as the white triangle will be at 12 o'clock. So the correct answer is choice C. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer similar problems on the test. And here's the question from the real test you can try to solve on your own. Which of the following comes next in the sequence? You're presented with the sequence on the left. sequence contains boxes, and inside of each box there is an arrow pointing in a different direction. You also have 4 different choices, A, B, C, and D, and among those choices, different boxes with arrows pointing in a different direction. Feel free to pause this video and try this challenge now. If you have figured out the answer, feel free to post the answer and your rationale in the comments, and I'll give you my feedback. I will also post a detailed answer in my future video. So make sure to subscribe and review my latest videos on the topic to learn about the answer and how to come up with the answers to the similar questions in the test. Thanks for participating and good luck! Let's look at the exclusion question, which is frequently used in the test. Which of the following does not belong to the group? And you're presented with 4 different choices, A, B, C, and D. Each square contains additional shapes inside. Do you see the answer? Now might be a good time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the solution on your own. Did you figure out the answer? Let's continue to see how we can solve this challenge and get to the correct solution together. As usual, for all exclusion questions, look for patterns. And in this case, the pattern is number of corners. If you see, for example, box A has shapes with 4 corners, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Choice B has shapes with 6 corners, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you look for similarities, choices A, B, and D have corners that have even numbers. This is why choice C is the correct answer for this particular problem, because it has 7 corners in the shapes that are presented in that box. So the correct choice here is choice C. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer similar problems on the test. Let's look at the frequent question, which tests your logical reasoning skills. Which of the following shapes completes the pattern? You're presented with the 4 shapes in the pattern, and 5th shape is missing, and 4 different choices, A, B, C, and D. Do you see the answer among the choices? Now might be a good time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the answer on your own. Did you figure out the answer? Let's continue to see how we can get to the correct solution and solve this challenge together. Interesting question, isn't it? As always, you have to look for the patterns. And there are 3 types of shapes here. We have triangle, rectangle, and circle. We also have 2 different colors, gray and black. And the pattern of shapes is symmetrical. You have a middle shape with the circle. And position of the shape is determined by symmetricity, which shows that rectangular box are on the sides, and the next one is triangle. The question is, which triangle was which color? We see that there is a switch. All shapes before the circle, and including the circle, are of the gray color. And then the switch happens, and we switch to the black color. So the color sequence is shifted from gray to black, and the next shape in the middle should be black. This is why the triangle with the black color inside is the next item in the pattern. So the correct choice here is choice A. Hopefully you've answered this question correctly and now know how to answer similar problems on the test. Let me share with you a tricky question which tests your analytical skills. How many triangles do you see in the picture? And you have triangle presented with smaller triangles inside. And you have a picture presented on the left, as well as 4 possible choices. Choice A, 9. Choice B, 13. Choice C, 17. And choice D, 15. Do you think you know the answer? Now might be a good time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the solution on your own. Did you come up with the solution? Let's continue to see how we can solve this challenge together. Let me walk you through the process of counting triangles. First, we include the largest outside triangle. Second, we include smaller triangles. Because large triangle was divided into 4, we include smaller triangles, which are displayed here as 2 and then 3. Then we include each one of the very small triangles, 4, 5, 6, 7, then 8, 9, 10, and 11. And as a last step, we include remaining smaller triangles that have not been counted in the first place, 12 and then 13. So the correct answer is 1 plus 4 plus 2 by 4 which is equal 13. So the correct choice here is choice B, 13. And the key to answer this question is to make sure you did not miss any of the triangles shown in the picture. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer similar questions on the test. Some of you might find this question tricky, but regardless of whether you can solve it or not on your own, you will be excited to learn the solution to this real-life assessment test question. Here's the question. Determine the missing part. And you're presented with the 3x3 square, which has arrows pointing in different directions. In the middle of the square, you have the X sign, and one of the squares is missing the arrow. And you have 4 different choices. Choice A, arrow pointing in the bottom left corner. Choice B, arrow pointing in the bottom right corner. Choice C, arrow pointing left. And choice D, arrow pointing in the upper right corner. Do you think you know the answer? Now might be a good time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the solution on your own. So did you determine the missing part? Let's continue to see if we can solve this challenge and get to the correct solution together. As usual, to determine the next item in the sequence, we have to look for the patterns. And as you can see, both rows and columns have a sequence. So if you look at the bottom row, you see that the arrow points in the bottom right corner, then in the upper right corner, then in the upper left corner. So that is the sequence. It rotates counterclockwise. You see that the arrow goes from pointing to the upper left corner, then to the upper right corner, and then to the bottom right corner. You see that the arrow pointing rotates clockwise. And the missing piece in the middle is designed to confuse you. This is the missing piece. It would help you if there would be an actual arrow, but it does not exist. So what you see here is that this middle piece was put in place to confuse you and to show that there is no sequence in the middle row. So the sequence for the missing part would have to be reestablished from the right column. So we have arrow in the upper right box pointing to the upper left corner. The next one would be pointing to the bottom left corner. And then the following one would be pointing to the bottom right corner. You see that this particular arrow in its sequence moves counterclockwise as well. Let's recap. Notice that all arrows follow the sequence. Both rows and columns have sequences, something to look for, and each arrow points to the corners and is rotating either counterclockwise or clockwise. So the missing part involves finding the arrow that matches the pattern. The correct choice here is choice A, arrow pointing in the bottom left corner. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer these types of questions on the test. Let's review the question, which tests your verbal reasoning skills. Choose the missing letters from below to form a word using all letters presented. And you have a 3x3 box, which has 3 letters missing. What you need to do, you need to try to form a word, and to form it, populate these 3 missing letters from 4 choices presented. Choice A, ARN. Choice B, RDN. Choice C, IAM. And choice D, HOW. Do you think you know the answer? Now might be a good time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the solution on your own. Did you figure out the solution? Let's continue to see how we can solve this challenge and get to the correct solution together. So what we know, based on the instruction in the question, is that the word has 9 letters. Typically, letters in the sequence flow to form a word in these types of questions. So in this particular question, you need to start in the upper left corner and then flow from left to right, then from top to bottom, from right to left, and again into the middle row. And once you do that, you will see that the word president can be formed. So the missing letters are RDN, and the correct choice here is choice B, RDN. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer similar questions in the test. Here's the question from the real test you can try to solve on your own. Please make sure to post your answer in comments. What English word can you form using all the letters in the box? And you're presented with the 3x3 box, which has following letters: TNE, RPD, ESI. Do you think you know the answer? Feel free to pause this video to see if you can solve this challenge on your own. And if you have figured out the answer, feel free to post it in the comment section so I can give you my feedback. I will also post a detailed answer in my future videos. So make sure to subscribe and review my latest videos on the topic to learn about the answer and how to come up with the answers to similar questions in the test. Thanks for participating. Let me share with you an interesting question which tests your reasoning skills. Determine which two numbers come next in this sequence. And you have a sequence of numbers 3, 9, 27, and then 4 different choices for subsequent numbers. Choice A, 81 and 243. Choice B, 64 and 126. Choice C, 72 and 265. And choice D, 55 and 729. Do you think you know the answer? Now might be a good time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the solution on your own. Did you figure out the solution? Let's continue to see how we can solve this challenge and get to the correct solution together. To solve any sequence type questions, you need to determine the pattern. And in this particular sequence, next number is calculated as previous number multiplied by 3. So you have the 9 calculated as 3 by 3. 9 by 3 is 27. So the next number after 27 will be calculated as 27 multiplied by 3, which would be 81. And then 81 multiplied by 3 would be 243. So the correct answer here is choice A, 81 and 243. Hopefully you've answered this question correctly. But in case you need more solutions or practice problems, please make sure to check out my ebook in the description section of this video. Here is the question for you to try solving. If you have figured out the answer, please make sure to post it in comments, and I'll share with you my feedback. Which of the following completes the missing part of the square? You're presented with the 3 by 3 square, and there are stars. And I'll give you a tip. All the stars are in the different corners of each small square. There are 4 different choices. Choice A, B, C, and D. And there is a missing box which is highlighted with the question mark in the 3 by 3 square. Do you know the answer? Now might be a good time to pause this video to try to solve this challenge on your own. And if you have figured out the answer, feel free to post it in comments. Please also include your rationale. This way I can correct you if your answer is not correct, and share my feedback. I'm also planning to post a detailed answer in my future videos, so make sure to subscribe and review my latest videos on the topic to learn more about how to answer these types of questions in the real test. Thanks for participating, and good luck. Here's an interesting question from the real test. I have confidence that you might figure out the answer. Here's the question. Choose which of the following comes next in the sequence. And you're presented with the sequence of objects. Take a close look at the sequence and try to determine which one of the choices A, B, C, or D comes next in the sequence. Now might be a good time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the solution on your own. Did you figure out the answer? Let's continue to see how we can solve this challenge and get to the solution together. When we look at the original items presented in the sequence, you see that the green circle presented in every box. Another pattern that we see here is that items are added incrementally. For example, first square contains 2 objects, one of which is green circle. Second square contains green circle and triangle and square. In the third box, you see that all original items are present, and we have an additional yellow diamond. So we can assume safely that the item that we will pick should have a green circle in the bottom left corner, and it should have 5 items, and it should contain all original items present in the first 3 squares. This leads us to the correct answer in the choice B. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to look for the patterns in the test. But in case you need more questions like this, please make sure to check out my ebook in the description section of this video. This question is quite tricky, but I would like to show you the solution so we can solve this interesting and tricky question together. Which shape does not belong to the group? And you have 4 choices of shapes. Do you think you know the answer? Now might be a good time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the answer on your own. Did you come up with the answer? Let's continue and see how we can solve this challenge and get to the solution together. In this case, shapes can be grouped by number of sides in the shape. For example, you see that all the shapes in the left have 6 sides. If you count the sides, for example, in this shape, you will see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Same with the hexagon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And same with the arrow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the correct answer here is choice A for the pentagon, which only has 5 sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hopefully you've nailed this question and answered it correctly, and now know how to answer similar questions and problems on the test. Let me share with you an interesting question from the test. I have confidence that you might figure out the answer. Here's the question. What is the new order of the objects after shapes have been switched? And you have before sequence of the shapes, where you see 5 shapes, and after sequence of the shapes. And you have 4 different choices. Choice A, 5, 3, 1, 4, 2. Choice B, 1, 2, 3, 5, 4. Choice C, 5, 3, 2, 1, 4. And choice D, 5, 3, 2, 4, 1. Do you think you know the answer? Now might be a good time to pause this video to see if you can figure out the answer on your own. Do you think you came up with the answer? Let's continue and try to solve this challenge together. The best way to solve this challenge is to look at the shape's positions before and after. For example, let's follow this yellow triangle. If you follow yellow triangle, it was in the position 1 before we started switching. And now it is in position 4. So what we do here, we have counts of the positions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And those are original positions. Because triangle moved from the position 1 to the position 4, now in the correct answer, we will see 1 in the position 4. Because 1 represents triangle's original position. You can follow all the shapes from their original position into their new position. And if you look at the answers, you will see that the after switching, the correct order is 5, 3, 2, 1, 4. Let's recap. Shapes have been moved into different positions between before and after. Each figure in before is sequentially numbered with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To answer this question, you need to trace the figures from before to their new position to after. And sample arrows presented here could be mentally done in your mind when you see this type of question on the test. The correct answer is choice C, 5, 3, 2, 1, 4. Let me share with you, not so challenging, but the question we see very frequently on the test. Which choice of numbers makes calculations accurate for the expression below? You have an expression where 4 numbers would need to be added up to get a result 20. And you have 4 different choices. Choice A, 1, 3, 5, 7. Choice B, 2, 4, 6, 8. Choice C, 3, 5, 8, 2. And choice D, 2, 5, 8, 1. Do you think you know the answer? Should be easy to calculate for you. So please try it, pause this video, and make sure you can get to the right solution. Did you figure out the solution? Let's continue to see if we can solve this challenge together. As I already mentioned, this particular example is very simple. You're just adding up numbers. And in this case, you pick the choice B, 2, 4, 6, 8. Once you add 2 plus 4 is 6, 6 plus 6 is 12, and 12 plus 8 is 20. A lot of times, though, you may need to use PEMDAS rule, and PEMDAS stands for parentheses, exponents, which includes powers and roots, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. And this represents the order of the operation. As I already mentioned, in this particular case, the expression is rather simple. But a lot of times, you may need to use PEMDAS rule, and PEMDAS is something easy to remember. So make sure you use PEMDAS rule. In this case, we were only adding things. So there are no other operations, and there's no need to make priority for anything else. Hopefully you've nailed this question and answered it correctly. Let me share with you a tricky question from the real test. I have confidence that you might be able to figure out the answer. Here's the question. What is the new order of the objects after shapes have been switched? And you have before picture of the objects and an after picture of the objects. In the after picture of the objects, you have the same objects, but just in a different order. And you have 4 different choices. 1, 2, 3, 6, 4, 5. Choice B for the new order. 3, 6, 5, 4, 2, 1. Choice C for the new order. 5, 1, 2, 6, 3, 4. And choice D, 7432615. Do you think you know the answer? Now might be the good time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the solution on your own. Did you figure out the solution? Let's continue to see how we can solve this challenge together. The best way to solve this challenge is to trace the object from its old position to the new position. For example, if you're looking at the green oval, it was in the position 1 before, and now it is in the position 2. If you trace all the objects, you will figure out that the previous positions were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the new positions are 5, 1, 2, 6, 3, 4. So the correct answer is choice C, 5, 1, 2, 6, 3, 4. The challenge is that you need to do all of this mentally, and you have about 30 seconds to complete it. So the more you practice, the better you become. Hope you've nailed this question and now know how to answer these types of questions on the test. Very frequently, I get a question, how can you learn faster? Mixed mode learning is the most effective way to absorb the material. What does it mean? You use variations of different resources and you alternate between different sources. For example, you can watch YouTube video, then you can take practice test, then you can read related topic in the ebook, review answers, practice correct and incorrect answers, and then experiment with variations. Here is the interesting question, which tests your knowledge and ability to do mental calculations. Which choice of numbers makes calculations accurate for the expression below? And you are presented with the expression 2 items in parentheses multiplied, and then after that you need to subtract a third number, and the result will be equal to 25. You have 4 different choices: 536, choice B 625, choice C 743, and choice D 231. You cannot use calculator to solve this challenge. Do you think you know the answer? Now might be a good time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the answer on your own. Did you figure out the solution? Let's continue to see how we can solve this challenge and get to the solution together. To get to the solution, you need to remember one word, PEMDAS, which stands for parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, and subtract. This is the order of operations you need to keep in mind. Parentheses first, powers and roots next, multiplication and division before adding and subtracting. So in this case, we need to multiply 7 by 4 first, then subtract 3 to get to the result of 25. And the correct solution is obviously choice C, 7, 4, 3. Hopefully you've nailed this question, but in case you need more questions or practice problems, please make sure to check out my ebook in the description section of this video. Here's the tricky question from the real test, but somehow I have a feeling that you might be able to come up with the answer. What comes next in this sequence? And you have sequence of items: do, mi, so, and then the missing item. And you have 4 choices to pick from. Choice A, RE, choice B, FA, choice C, LA, and choice D, TI. Do you think you know the answer? Now might be a good time to pause this video to see if you can come up with the answer on your own. Did you figure out the solution? Let's continue to see how we can solve this challenge together. As you might have figured out, the items represent music sequence. And the music sequence is do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. If we look at the sequence, we notice that some of the items might be missing. And you see that the re, fa, and la are skipped. So the next item in the sequence will be ti. So the correct answer here is choice D, T. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer these types of questions in the test. Thanks for watching. I encourage you to check out our daily question challenge in the community section of this channel. I also recommend that you check downloads in the description section of this video. Please also check out resources page on our website, howtoanalyzedata.net/resources. If you like the content, please give this video a big thumbs up. This tells us that you need more content like this. I would encourage you to share this video with other people that might be looking for the job. This will help them to get prepared and pass assessment test faster. Please consider subscribing and following this channel. We have a community of great people helping each other to get ready and pass the test. Please leave questions, comments, or suggestions in the comment section of this video. And all the best on your interview and assessment test. Thanks for watching.